Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money.
Welcome to Fly Nubian Money. Welcome, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. My name is Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I am the proud producer of this show and also your host for today. Now, today we are having, before we even start the conversation, we are talking about Diddy and Cassie today. We're talking about Cassie's emotional, it made me extremely emotional, heartbreaking testimony in court yesterday. And I just want to offer a really quick trigger warning. What we are about to talk about is dealing with abuse and manipulation and financial control. So if this is something that is triggering for you, please take a step away if you need to. Take a moment and breathe through it, and then come on back if you can. And if you cannot, that is absolutely okay. All right. So before we start this conversation, let me tell you exactly what we're talking about. All right. So, today we are talking about a difficult but necessary conversation: toxic relationship, manipulation, and why women stay in situations that are harmful for their emotional and financial well-being. Recently, Cassie Ventura took the stand in court to testify against Diddy, shedding light on the toxic, manipulative dynamics at play in their relationship. But this isn't just about Cassie and Diddy. It's a conversation about why women, particularly Black women, stay in relationships that undermine their emotional health and financial security. Sometimes it's with a powerful man like Diddy, but other times it's with men who are far less powerful, Tyrone and them. Yet we still manage to exert that control and psychological manipulation. So we'll explore all of that today, but obviously I can't do that by myself. I need my queens, and I got the best queens for the job. We'll start with Aisha. I'll start with you, Aisha Verzi, who is a financial expert and business coach. Right below me is Nomalenga Mushali Moses, who is also a business advocate for motherhood, marriage, and money making. Shalay is our real estate queen. And so let's just get started, y'all. I wanted to know, did anybody get a chance to see some of the coverage that before I sent it? Did anybody kind of follow the story? I'll start with you, No Malinga.
So, so, so I've been trying not to follow the story. I've been trying, but I can't because I'm on social media and it's everywhere. I do get bits and pieces of it. I'm heartbroken. I'm disgusted, horrified, mortified, all of that.
Yeah.
And above all, I really, really feel, mixed feelings. The first one is I have a lot of compassion and sympathy for this young lady, because I think we've all said that she was only 18, 19, 20, 21 or whatever when all this started. Our oldest daughter is 19, and I can't even imagine. I cannot even imagine. And I always will say, because I have to say this again, it always goes back to, I always have to ask, where was her father? That's always my question. Where were her parents? Where were her family members? And I will always ask that in any situation like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Supposedly, she was lying to her mother and kind of concealing the fact that he was abusing her. But you're right. I've heard nothing about a father. Nothing about a father. Aisha, what do you think? What were your initial responses to this situation?
Yeah, it was just sadness and and just feeling sorry for her because I have a daughter as well, and just thinking about how that situation must have made her feel and why, that continued for so long and nobody to rescue her because she maybe had no safe place to go or she was hiding it. Who knows, right? That was my first thought. And again, where's the family? Where is the family? So, yeah.
Shalay, what do you say?
Yeah, my first reaction, and I had heard about it when it came out, and same thing. I've been trying not to because my first reaction is it's disgusting. Just like the
Mhm.
details of the case are so
Oh.
horrible and disgusting, and I can't even
Mhm.
imagine as a woman going through that.
Mhm.
And so that was my initial reaction. Also thinking like, does she not have family? I don't know her background, but like,
Mhm.
where were advocates or someone to protect this woman, and also why she kept going back. Well, we'll get into that, and we know that that's a deeper issue.
Mhm.
Yeah. You know what's so interesting? For me, I did everything exactly what you all said. I'm avoiding Diddy. I'm avoiding all of the things. I didn't know all of the details until I was talking to my sister friend, who's also a queen, on the show, Vanessa Gopal. And she was like, "Did you see?" And I was like, I didn't see. She was like, "Girl, you got to see." And so I went online and I saw, and I think I read every single article that I could on the situation. I asked ChatGPT, and by the end, you're absolutely right. I was disgusted. And then I just thinking about some of the things, and we'll listen to the transcription of it. We have that, so we can all listen for ourselves. It's obviously not Cassie speaking, but she is speaking from her account of what happened. So with that being said, let's just find out what happened for that day in court. For her first day, I think it's her second day in court, if I'm not mistaken. So let's find out what happened, and we'll be right back.
In the courtroom as Cassie was testifying. So let me tell you guys everything that you didn't see or may have not heard, because it's a lot. I will say the most damning part of her testimony for me is when she describes a freak off where Diddy and another man, an escort, are standing on top of her while she is laying on the floor high off of ecstasy, and they are urinating on her face to the point where she is choking on their pee. And to further give context, on the right hand side of the court seated is her husband Alex Fine. On the left hand side, Diddy's 6 out of 7 kids are sitting in the courtroom as Cassie is describing having weekly freak offs for years. That would last 2, 3, one lasted up to 4 days. She talked about damaging hotel rooms so bad in one instance that they had to pay such a hefty fee because the hotel told them that they needed to completely redecorate the room after a freak off. After a freak off, there would be blood, urine, and lots of baby oil. There was so much baby oil. There was also so much baby oil talk to the point where the judge at one point told prosecutors, wrap it up. But before we even got there, a very pregnant Cassie was called to the stand. She was wearing a tight brown turtleneck dress that was hugging her baby bump. When she sat down, you could tell she was nervous. And if you couldn't, you quickly picked up on it because once she started talking, you noticed that she paused a lot. She would sigh heavily before she answered a question. One of those moments was when she explained to the court that a year into their relationship, that Diddy had approached her with this fantasy that he had. He called it voyeurism, where he wanted to see her have sex with another man, later referred to as freak-offs. She said her stomach dropped. She was 22 years old. She described herself as very naive and a people pleaser. She said the only reason that she agreed to it is because she knew it would make him happy, and she was afraid what would happen if she said no. That's also around the time, she says, that he started to get abusive. Most of her testimony today was spent on talking about these freak-offs, the different escorts that they would use, the different hotels that they would use. She said that she would find escorts off of Craigslist and this escort service called Cowboys for Angels. And to describe them, they weren't the most attractive men, right? They were very average looking. Some of them weren't even conventionally attractive. One thing they had in common is most of them were black, because Diddy preferred for her black men with a big D, she said. At one point, Cassie broke down in tears when the prosecutor asked her, why didn't you leave? If the freak-offs, as you explained, were so disgusting and humiliating, why not leave? And she started crying and said that she was very deeply in love, and this was the only alone time that she could get with Diddy. And it got to a point where this was kind of the only emotional connection that she was getting from this man that she was dating. So much more that I'll cover.
Whew. Whew. Again, if you are watching Fly Nubian Money. We are talking about the Diddy and Cassie Ventura's testimony against Diddy yesterday in court. And if you are sensitive to these type of topics, we want you to just pace yourself, take a deep breath, because we are taking them as well. It's so funny that they said, like, the comments for me did not pass the vibe check, right? Everybody was just like, why didn't she leave? But I think we saw a very public account of her trying to run away from the situation, run to an elevator where he ran after her in a towel, like butt naked, and dragged her back and start punching and kicking her until he dragged her back into the room. Go ahead and take that down, Gwen. So if you're asking why she didn't leave, I could imagine, and that's what we were able to see. I can only imagine the other things that transpired. I'm gonna go back to you, Noma. Just give me reactions to that video and just kind of your thoughts. Again, you talked about you having a 19-year-old daughter and in that age range, and how they don't have that frontal lobe is not fully developed, so they're not thinking, and they're with this whole idea of him being 38 years old, very mature. Tell us what your reactions is to that, your initial thoughts.
What came to my mind was, it sounds like she already had some kind of a father wound, because she was saying things like, that's the only time I could get from him. That's the only time I could spend time with him. And I can say, if you've had a healthy and functional relationship with your dad, you're already going to understand that that is not it. What that was happening was not the attention that you want. It doesn't do anything good for you. You'd know the difference. And unfortunately, it sounds like she didn't, which is very sad. Then the other thing is, I totally agree with your point, because when I keep hearing people saying, why didn't she leave? We literally saw her try to leave, and we saw what happened when she tried to leave. Having said that, I think in a general conversation, abusive relationships, when you're about to leave or you show that you're about to leave, are actually statistically the deadliest point of the relationship. That's when you're most likely to get unalived. That's when he will end your life. So I think people need to be more sensitive to that. Having said that, there are strategies, there are hotlines, there are so many other avenues that you can use to strategically get away, stay away, and be safe away. So there is two sides to that story.
Yeah. Something that I saw in the breakdown, as she said, and we'll get to the transcript in a second, is that he was very polarizing, in the sense where he was extremely charming. And then, almost to the point where you'd be like, oh my God, this is the man that I love and I know. But that when it was good, it was amazing. But when it was bad, it was really bad. Right. So I can only just think about, like, Noma, you said something yesterday during our show, how women tend to look at those good times, and it can almost, you didn't say it in this way, but I'm definitely like just summing it up. But we tend to be able to look over those good times and like say, I can save him because or he's a good person.
Change him.
I can just adjust to those bad times and become as malleable as I can, as flexible as I can, and he can, he'll change. I'm sure he'll change. Chile, what do you think of that? What do you think about that? Like that idea that he's extremely charming and manipulative, and what people are saying.
Yes, and people have to realize that that's done on purpose, especially when you have a very, very manipulative person like Diddy seems to be, right? He's very manipulative. He knew what he was doing in choosing a young girl. He knows a lot more about her past than we do. So he knew that she was the type of girl that he could groom to this point. And essentially what that is, that giving you the charming and then switching up and being a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, that's the breadcrumbing and that's the push and pull dynamic that she was groomed. That first year, it probably was wonderful. That was the honeymoon phase. And then he started being physically and probably emotionally abusive. And then he introduces this fantasy of voyeurism and things like that. She was groomed because she was naive, because she probably hadn't dated a lot of people, and because she didn't know what he was doing. He was doing all of that on purpose, but that was breadcrumbing and gaslighting her on purpose so that he'd be able to do what he did to her.
That's absolutely correct. One other thing that I read, and I thought it was insane, but he offered Cassie a 10 deal record deal, a 10 album record deal. Do you know how long? That's a lifetime.
Yes.
Do you
That's like
understand
student
that I'm
loan
in
record deal. Yeah.
control of you for a lifetime? A 10 album deal is you ain't never leaving Bad Boy. Right. And I think that was the intention. Aisha, what do you think about just like how he laid those foundation? And again, if she doesn't know business, like Noma said, if there's nobody there to coach her, there's no daddy saying, like, listen, you ain't gonna be doing this to my daughter. And at that point, I think Diddy was taking care of her family. So the only thing that the family is saying, like, I'm taking care of your mama, like, this is a good man, Savannah. You keep, which we've seen or we've heard that allegedly he did things to Usher and to Justin Bieber and all he did, like, was able to manipulate. So Aisha, my question to you is, I mean, what do you think of that? Like him setting her up to almost be with him for a whole lifetime contractually.
Yeah, isn't that crazy that somebody can do that to you and actually set things up so that you are tied to them for that long? When a contract, and then they use you also emotionally, not just for the business, but they use you on the other side, and then it's crazy, right? And I think at the end of the day, when I was thinking about the whole process as well, is think about my own life experience and how that must have felt. Because sometimes when you're from a home where you don't have a lot of financial well-being, you don't have that, and you don't have a father figure that is the breadwinner and the protector of the family, you don't have that, and then this opportunity comes, everybody turns a blind eye. Everybody acts like nothing is happening, everything is going to be good, because like you said, his person has these two sides. They come, they're so kind, they bring all these gifts, so the family is overwhelmed and happy that this is happening to their family, not understanding that that's a backside that she has to pay and not showing it, right? So this is something that people do that have power, and I think that unfortunately, because sometimes the family, their situation financially allows it to continue because of what they're getting, the kickback they're getting, and not understanding the moral hazard, the hazard that comes after that they don't think about. So that's what now she's been pushed into, unfortunately, and then with the contract, and nothing happened. She didn't even get it. None of the stuff that he said, nothing even happened. So it's unfortunate.
There was a single, and I don't even know if he was the one that produced it, but there was a Me and You single. But outside of that, she just became his concubine. I mean, that was it. Like his piece, right? I didn't pull the video, but there's a video of Young Jock, who's a rapper, saying like basically at a party, he saw a girl with her hair shaved to the side. I don't know if we have a picture of her hair shaved to the side, but like she had her hair shaved on the side. And he said, "Oh, that's dope." He drunk. Everybody it's a party. He was like, "Oh, that's dope. Cassie, go in the bathroom and cut your hair like that." And Young Jock said he looked, and he said, "Are you going to really do that?" She said, "Whatever Sean wants."
Wow.
Whatever Sean wants.
Okay,
And she went into the bathroom. So no, that was the type of control. This whole idea of people pleasing. Noma, help me understand this level of, brokenness or trauma. I know you're not a therapist, but what you do know, you got some life experiences. So help me understand what type of broken place you have to come from to be that flexible, to be that able to be able to
Manipulated,
yes, like
controlled. Yeah.
y'all, I'm choked up because I just cannot believe what he was able to do. This young girl, go ahead. No one.
Can I also just say we have to look at him as well. The things that he was doing also show some kind of extreme insecurity.
Yep.
The fact that he would try to tie a person up with 10 deals, there was something desperate about that, where I want to do something to keep you because I don't think you'll stay here of your own volition. I don't think that unless I tie you up, like nobody loves me, nobody will stay with me. I don't feel worthy. I don't have confidence and self-esteem that I can be loved for who I am. I got to tie people up and control them in order for them to be with me and love me. So I think that's also worth looking at. And then also look at him. What kind of background does he have? Does he have any example, my goodness, of a stable family life, seeing a man love a woman, care for her, take care of her, protect her? I've never heard of it. I've just never heard of that in his background. So we are looking at two people. I am not by any stretch of the imagination excusing anything that he did, but I always try to expand my thinking to see, like, how did these people get here? How could this have happened? What kind of a person is this? How could this kind of monster have been created? And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that he was just a 38-year-old broken person who found a 19-year-old broken person. And unfortunately, he had more power, more control, and more money. So he was the dominant broken person. But the whole mess is about people who are very damaged, traumatized, and broken. And we can see what happens when you add drugs, money, alcohol, and fame and everything into it. It's really, really devastating.
Can I make one point?
After wait. After
Okay.
we come back from break, we're
Okay.
going to take a quick commercial break. But I do want to talk about power, just how much power he had, and how much he was able to stalk her. And even when she tried to get away, he had all of these. This is not Tyrone we talking about. This is somebody that had access to everything and everybody. Let's go to break.
He wasn't born with it, though. He wasn't born with it.
I know. We're going to take a deep breath, though. I understand. We're going to take a deep breath, and we're going to come back after this break. It's a good show right here. But I'm biased. If you are just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. My name is Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I'm the proud producer of this show because it is lit. If you want to receive notifications for when we go live Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All you have to do is text the word Queens to 87948. That's Queens to 87948. That's QUEENS to 87948. Also, if you want to grow your money and not blow your money, all you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, there's courses, there's free giveaways. There's just no reason to be broke in 2025. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. Obviously, you don't want to be entertained here. You want to know enough to grow. Wait, I need to put that on a shirt. You got to know to grow. Got to know to grow. So know and grow with flynubianmoney.com. You gotta know and grow, y'all. Welcome back to
You are too funny.
I try. Welcome back to Fly Nubian Money, y'all. We are having a conversation about Diddy and Cassie, and Cassie's courageous testimony about what was done to her. And we're gonna jump back in. I do want to say this. I know allegedly over the years, they say that Diddy was himself groomed by Andre Harrell, allegedly, God rest his soul. But that he was also introduced to these same things, these same behaviors by Russell Simmons and Andre Harrell. I'm not sure. I can't say for certain, but I know there was a lot of things going on in the 90s. So I want to just, jump right back in here. I know you wanted to say something, Shalay, so I'm going to just lay it down for you.
Yeah, so I wanted to, Noma brought up, the not having the example of a love dynamic, like a healthy love dynamic. And that is probably true. I do believe that goes way beyond this. And I think that it stems back to his individual, probably mental and emotional instability even before he made it to this level. I feel like before, he's been very, very power hungry since the beginning, since he was an intern. Okay, he was very, very power hungry. And so I feel like this is a situation where it compounded and built up, and he has created this narcissistic persona because he thinks he is untouchable at this point because of what he's been able to do over years. So I believe that, yeah, it may have to do with, childhood trauma, but I believe it goes so much deeper than that because of the power that he amassed. And he used her like an animal, and he used other people like animals too. It's not just her. So I think this is a real issue with him mentally and emotionally.
Well, they say that money only money only exaggerates and exacerbates who you are. So if you're a giving person, you're going to give to everybody. If you are an asshole or like a demon or a devil spawn, you're going to be that. You're going to destroy people's lives. No, Malanga, what were you going to say?
No. I was actually just agreeing with you.
No, I
Yeah.
think, but before the break, you were going to say something. Were you going to say something?
It was Chalet who was gonna say, and I think she said it.
Okay, got you. Okay.
Yeah.
With this being said, let's listen. Let's take a deep breath. I got to take a deep breath in these things. Let's listen to the actual transcript. It has been transcribed. We got this from Twitter, or we got it from TikTok. But basically, there's actors voicing over the transcript. So we're going to take a listen to that really quickly. Y'all brace yourselves for a lot of things. Just ready your heart for this. Here we go.
Discretion. What you're about to hear is the full testimony given by Cassie Ventura today.
The government calls Cassandra Ventura. How old are you?
38.
What is your work?
Musician and entertainer.
How long were you with Sean?
10 years.
Did you get in arguments?
Yes, it would result in dragging.
What else did he do?
Me in the head if I was down.
How frequently was he?
Too frequently. I would get black eyes and
Let me show you a video. Where is this?
the Intercontinental in Los Angeles. It was after a freak off.
What does that entail?
The hiring of an effort, setting it up.
How did you feel when he first asked for it?
Confused, nervous. I wanted to make him happy.
Did you agree to one when he first proposed it?
Yes. Then there were more. It wasn't something I wanted to do, at least not that frequently. I didn't know what no could turn into.
What do you mean?
Making him angry.
What were you afraid would happen if you said no?
That he had materials,
What did you give the government?
laptops.
I've handed up GXB. Do you recognize it?
Yes, I've reviewed this drive. It has communication and documents pertaining to Mr. Combs.
Did you review photos on it?
Yes.
What's this photo?
Me in 2004 with Carrie Morgan.
When did you sign with Bad Boy Records?
2006. It was a 10-album deal.
Did you release any after late 2006?
No.
Who's in this photo?
Kim Porter. She was Sean's ex from before me and the mother of his children.
Where did you celebrate your birthday in this photo?
In Las Vegas. Carrie Morgan was there too. We're out on his patio on my 21st birthday. VMAs.
What happened then?
Sean kissed me in the bathroom. I ran back to my hotel. I told Carrie.
When you got back to New York?
I'd visit him at the Trump Hotel in Columbus Circle. His apartment was being renovated.
What were you doing with your music career?
Trying to come up with a concept. Sean called all of the shots.
What is the age difference between you and Sean?
17 years.
How did you feel when Sean invited you to hotels?
Nervous, excited, like we were going to talk about music. He introduced me to... I didn't understand it.
Did you visit Sean in Miami?
Yes, I went with Carrie Morgan in Dallas, Austin.
What did you and Sean do together?
He gave me blue dolphin on a boat.
Had you once before taken...
So, yeah, that was just a piece of, actually not the most disgusting things. She was just talking about how she actually was introduced to Sean and their relationship after that, like him kissing her or wanting her. She was actually in a relationship with another producer. She was with Dallas Austin, and he just took her. Like, I'm gonna just take you, and you gonna be, now that she my girlfriend now. Or my artist now. She was actually introduced to Diddy as an artist, and I think, her and Dallas were together. And so it's just a lot going on. So, yeah, that was a lot. So, tell me, y'all, I want to talk a bit about the financial aspect. So I want to play a little bit of a game, and our title actually for this show is 5 financial lessons that we learned from Cassie Ventura's testimony, right? And I just want to, one by one, I'm just going to almost do this like a stat. Like we're just going to bring up one. I'm going to call on one of you, and you give me your lesson, and we'll kind of talk through that. And then we'll take a little break, and then I'll, so we can just kind of slowly go through those lessons throughout the rest of the show. Does that make sense? Everybody got it? Okay. All right. I'm going to start with you, Chalet. What is, I want to sprinkle some finance in here. So what is one thing that overall that you've learned from this situation?
Definitely, and having some insight into the music industry. And this is hard for a new artist. And she came into, she didn't stand a chance business-wise, right? From where she was, she didn't have any leverage. But I would say control, access, and autonomy. And not just as an artist in the industry, but in any endeavor that you're trying to do, and making sure that if you're mixing a romantic relationship with that other person doesn't have more control and power over you financially, making sure that, like the 10-album deal, like where was her attorney? Like, you know what I'm saying? And look what he did. He got her under that deal and released one Shut Up album, basically. just to shut her up and, hey, we did something. But definitely financial. He controlled her finances. He controlled her brand. He controlled her income. He controlled her mentally, physically, emotionally. Like, he had complete control over this girl. And I'm going to say girl because she was, 19. So that would be the financial lesson that I take from this, like making sure that nobody has that amount of control over you, whether in business or romance. Nobody has that much access to your likeness, your brand, and making sure that you have access to it, because she was owned by bad boys. She couldn't do anything, like even if she wanted to do a brand deal or anything, he controlled all of that. She could not make a dime without him being involved in it. That's a very scary situation. And the imbalance of that power dynamic is gross. So and then having autonomy over your own things, having your own financial setup so that if you need to leave, then you don't feel like your whole life is over and you can't make another penny if you decide that you want to leave. So that would be my lesson.
I love that. I love that. So let me ask you this, Nomelinda. How do you keep autonomy as a 19-year-old trying to get into the business? It's not like the person that you would want to come to has come to you, right? You know you want to be an entertainer. This is the creme de la creme of the music industry. He is the music industry. So how do you keep autonomy and leverage over your brand, over your name, over yourself? How do you do that? We can't hear you.
The truth, guys, is that you really can't, which is why I always say I sound like a broken record. Family matters. If this child, which she was at the time, had a father and a mother invested in this deal, somebody can't take advantage of her that way. She does not have the capacity at 19 years old to make those kinds of decisions. She does not have enough life experience to foresee what could happen if she gives that much power and control to somebody who is in the music industry and could just as easily, pick her up or throw her out or whatever. At the risk of speaking for a long time, I'll give you an example, okay, of traditional marriage, because I heard Shalay say whether it's romantic or business, right? When you approach a young lady and you say you want to marry, okay, what her father will do is he will require you to pay dowry. Traditionally, what that dowry is supposed to do is supposed to be an investment. Okay, it used to be cows back in the day when the richest people had lots and lots of cows. So you take about 10 cows and you're not supposed to touch them. And what they're going to do is they're going to duplicate and duplicate and duplicate and duplicate. So what happens is, in case something goes wrong in that marriage and she has to come back home, there's a big investment here to take care of her in case that man dies, loses his job, or whatever it is. In modern day, some of what most families are doing is they ask for that in money. And again, ideally, you should invest that into something that will grow and grow and grow. So what it does, it gives her a cushion and it insulates her, even from her own husband, from being abused, from him being, he should be the leader of the family, but he should never have so much control where she feels like, my goodness, if I leave the situation, I'll die of hunger. I won't be able to sustain myself or whatever it is. And another thing is, traditionally, I find that when we have weddings, one of the most important things that they say is, look, you can always come home. You can always come home. If it gets rough, if it gets tough, you can always come home. If a man abuses his wife or does anything that is unacceptable, she goes back home and he has to not ask her back. You know, that cycle of abuse where he beats her, then he's nice, and then it happens in a different way where if she goes back home, he doesn't get to beg her and manipulate her and love bomb her and bring her back. No, he has to go ask for her from her parents and her family all over again. And they get to sit him down and be like, oh, but, there's a lot of problems here. What are you doing to change all of this? Because we can't let our daughter go back into this. And he has to prove and show that he can take care of her and love her properly and not abuse and manipulate her. And then if, again, that happens, she comes back home. And when she comes back home, she's not just a burden, because there's, again, this investment. So you, number one, you don't. And does it happen? Yes, there are families that are horrible. A father will take the money and squander it, and then his daughter has nothing. You know what I mean? Bad people or bad things happen, but the ideal situation is that your family should insulate you from abuse no matter what happens in life, and you should always be able to come home. The other thing is, when we have which is unfortunate, a lot of Black people, I keep saying this, are starting over in every single generation. So they don't have like that cushion of generational wealth, of knowing like, you know what, even if this music deal or whatever it is doesn't work out, I already have a house that my daddy bought me or gave me or whatever. I already have a car. We already have a family business. I can always go over there. It's not just about, if this doesn't work out, I'm on the street, it's over for me, I'm going to kill myself, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's like, yeah, you want to make your life better, you want to aspire for things, but it doesn't have that desperation that puts you into these situations that become dangerous and deadly. Because really, sometimes people have no other choice. If it doesn't work out in this deal or this music or whatever it is that they're aspiring for, the only other option is the streets. It's poverty, it's being destitute. So you end up with people really putting up with things that they blow our minds, because it seems we would never put ourselves through that because we have other options, right? But for her, when there's no other option, number one, for love, she doesn't seem to have been loved correctly to know that, okay, this is not proper love. For her to say, I participated in these things because I thought if I didn't participate, he might leave me, he might do it with somebody else. I participated in this because that was the only form of love and affection that I got. All of these are showing that there was a lot of poverty, not just financially, but also emotionally. And she was just feeding off of him, and he was just using that poverty or that lack that she had, to do the most awful things to her.
Wow, that was a hit. You know what? That was a mouthful. Amazing. Listen, I want to get your thoughts, Aisha, but I'm going to take a quick commercial break. And when I come back, hopefully there's a stat that can relate to. I think there's a stat. I have a stat for this. So let's go ahead and cue that. But right after this commercial, we'll be right back. I know you're busy, you got things to do, and you can't take us on the go with you every single day. Good news for you. We are now on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, now you can listen to us on Spotify. Search Fly Nubian Money and all the episodes shall appear. All you have to do is like, subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, leave some comments, tell people how you love us, so that when other people come along and are looking for a great show to watch, they can find Fly Nubian Money too. One last thing, and just in case you've been sitting under a rock, Fly Nubian Money now has an investment club. We are the Fly Nubian Money Club. It's easy. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com, and I am committed to bringing in top experts from all industries to help you level up. They're teaching us the skills that we need to compete in this market. We often say that nobody is coming to save us, not the government, but guess what? We're coming to save us. I'm coming to save you with the Fly Nubian Money Club. So listen, all you have to do again is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com. We have a 30-day free trial set up just for you, just for those people that are struggling. Even if you ain't struggling, you ain't got to struggle. I'm coming. Okay, let me stop playing. I'll see you soon. All right. We welcome back to Fly Nubian Money. Today we are talking about Cassie Ventura's testimony against Diddy. We are talking about financial control, manipulation, why women do not leave in these types of situations. And it's been very, very insightful for me. You ladies have given me a lot to think about. Let's go to that stat about public figures, and then I have a question for you, Aisha. According to a 2018 study by the University of California, the pressure on women in high-profile relationships to keep up appearances often leads to staying in unhealthy situations longer, especially when there's a significant imbalance of power or public expectation. Let's take that one down. So Aisha, I want to ask you about that stat. How do we keep ourselves from, Nomalinga and Chalet explained so eloquently how we keep our leverage, right? And Noma, I want to say, like, I wish Black Americans were not stripped of our culture, because I feel like that's where we would be. listen, you want to get with Tierra, you got to bring some cows, baby. Like, bring some cows, we gonna multiply. So unfortunately, that's been taken from us, but it just makes me think about what we need to do. So Aisha, in those situations where someone is with someone who has more money, and maybe you're young, like Cassie, how do you keep your sense of autonomy? How do you keep, and I think the women have already said it, but how do you, from your profession, you being a financial expert, like, how do you think that she could have kind of done this?
Honestly, there's this, how else? You have to have people that are professionals around you. And if your family is only focused on the money and making money and blinded by just making money, then nothing will be done. So it's really about having your own boundaries, your emotional boundaries, your financial boundaries, knowing, the boundaries. Okay, where do we fit? Where do we make sure that this is belongs to us and this belongs to them? And you can't do that if you're blinded by money and if you don't have a figure in the family that stands and speak on your behalf. It's not gonna happen. And I think in our community here in America, I think that is what is lacking. No matter how we talk about this, no matter how we say it, that's what's lacking. There's no strong male figure in the family that stands before his daughters or his sons to speak on their behalf and to demand that, no, this is what we believe. It will keep happening. There's no anything. That is the answer. You have to have someone in the family that demands this, and then have a professional. So when the documents are written, they support what you want to do. If you don't do that, this will keep happening over and over again. It happens everywhere. But the fact is, unless we have that home life where somebody's strong, supporting each of us, any of us can fall for it. Doesn't matter whether if you're 30, 40, because you don't even know what to look for, because nobody trained you to know what to look for. So culturally, Noma and I share the same kind of culture in our family where that's why we have such strength wherever we go, because you can manipulate me. You might for a short time, but it's not like, know what you're doing, I'm out of there, because I know that I have a place to fall back to. But really, that's it. You have to have that strong person in the family that stands for you, and with that person and someone that's a professional that can look at the documents, sign them properly for you, so that way you know that, wow, I'm on the right track, and not somebody telling you what to do.
Okay.
Can I jump in there with a quick personal story in perspective from the music industry?
Well, I was about to give my personal from the entertainment industry, but go ahead. Well, you know what? Let me just say really quick, just while it's hot. It's really difficult to, I was 22 years old when I moved to California. I moved here from New Orleans, and I moved because of Hurricane Katrina. I came with less. I had $250 coming to Los Angeles, right? And so for me, it was like everything seemed like, okay, not only when you're in these spaces do you have to impress other people, but you have to figure out how to, you just got to figure out how to work it. And so I worked with a director who was very powerful and prominent in the industry. And I remember he took advantage of that power. And in those moments, you think like, okay, he's being abusive. You know that he's being abusive. You know he's saying abusive things. And not that he took advantage of me in a sexual way, but did he exert his power, like humiliating us? Like in between scenes, calling us strippers, like because we were browner than the rest of the girls. And did we take it? Yes. And only because, like, at the time, it's like, what do I do? I remember one time he came to me and was like, because I questioned something. He came to me and said, you'll never work in this industry. You'll never work. You'll never work because you have a bad spirit. Really? He was projecting that shit on me. Of course. Like, and I cried and cried. Anyway, so being 22 and being young and want something so bad and want to work and wanting to, like, you really take their, they're older, you take their words like it's almost God speaking, because it's like, oh my God, he's been working in this industry for so much longer, he can blackball me. You're just thinking all these things. Now I know that's not true, but when I was 22, I didn't know. So I'll just say that, like, it's hard to keep your autonomy when you're trying to get in the door. You feel like you kind of gotta be cool to get in the door, even though some things didn't feel right. What were you gonna say, Shalay? And I'm gonna hit another. I'm gonna hit our next. I think we got another commercial.
Yes.
What were you gonna say?
No, I totally agree with you. And I've been in those, me and my sisters and me personally, I've been in those situations where you feel like you got to go along to get along. And blackballing in the music industry and the entertainment industry is a real thing.
Yes.
So perspective from the music industry, my mother was our manager. And speaking to, you have to have someone in your family or someone who's looking out for you. The lesson in it is sometimes you just have to walk away. You have to be prepared and okay at a certain point, even though this is your dream and this is what you want so bad, you got to be prepared to walk away.
Those are the
Because
boundaries.
It's
in
such
our
a tough. It's
situation,
so tough.
everyone was trying to get our mother out of the way because they couldn't come in, and I was going to say the R word. They couldn't come in and take advantage of us because my mother was like, nope, not having it, and we'll walk away. And my mom got kind of blackballed in the industry as she's a bitch. She's hard to deal with. And because we were so self-contained, me and my sisters, they couldn't see the immediate power that they can come in and take over. So we weren't good enough to sign because they knew that there were certain things that they would want to do with us and to us. And some things we didn't know, but my mother knew that they couldn't do it. So therefore we didn't get the deals.
That's fine.
It didn't happen. And it was because my mother was like, nope, I'm not going nowhere. I'm the manager. And this is not happening unless I'm in control of this situation. And it cost us that, record deal or maybe that career in the music business. But you know what? Thank God.
Thank
I
God.
can only imagine if my mother was not in place and me and my sisters did sign a deal,
The
I can only
damage.
imagine what we would have had to face.
Yeah, I think that's why, and Nomalinga, you are next after this commercial on your financial lesson. But I do think that's why that insulation. I don't know Beyonce personally, but I know people that know Beyonce. But that whole like Matthew Knowles insulation, like protect,
Yes.
always having like a man kind of in front of you saying, "Nah, you're not about to do that." Because then when it wasn't Matthew, it was Jay,
That's right.
So Jay was like, "Nah, you're not." There's stories of Jay making men leave photo shoot or video shoots because it's like you did your part already.
That's
Like you
right.
can go now. Like
Go
you ain't got
now.
to stand around and watch my wife dance or whatever
right.
it is. And
That's
people's
right.
like, oh, he's controlling, but no, he's protecting.
That's
And
right.
so let's go to a commercial real quick. And
Boundaries.
Nomalinga, we're gonna come back with your financial tips.
Right.
Are you a Black business owner looking to expand your reach? Well, has Fly Nubian Money got good news for you? We are building a Black business directory to connect you with customers who need your services. And here is the best part. It is absolutely free. Email us at info@realvirtual.net. Send us your business name. Tell us a little bit about what you do, what services you offer, your website address, and your contact information. That's it. Together, we are going to build and circulate the Black dollar. Get listed today and start connecting with people who are probably already looking for you.
Wonderful. Let us know. info@realvirtual.net. We want to know about your business. Absolutely. So let's just jump right back in here. What is your financial lesson from this situation, Nomalinga? Uh-oh, I can't hear you.
It's almost like I'm repeating myself every single time, but it really does come down to generational wealth and the importance of generational and family wealth, which insulates you from a lot of things in life. I also think that, whether it's formal or informal, education is important. And that's one of the things that I think sometimes we leave out when it comes to financial stability. You don't have to have gone to college for it or whatever, but you do have to educate yourself. I remember when I was I was in a management, hotel management program, right? It's a management program. And one of the courses that I took was law. And the professor would say to us, he would say, look, I'm not expecting you to go out here and practice law, but I want you to know enough that when things are happening, when you have a legal situation and you have to get a lawyer. Same thing, you go for accounting. You're not going to be running a business, being a manager or an owner and do your own accounting. That'll constrict you if you do everything. But he's like, look, you don't have to be an accountant, but I want you to know enough to know when you need an accountant, or you know enough that when you hire an accountant, What are you requiring from that accountant? And that's what really made up the degree program. It was like different areas where you're not the expert, but you have to know enough to know that, okay, it's time to call an expert. So there is no way a 19, 20, 21-year-old girl can know enough legally, accounting wise, financially, whatever, to know if something is a good deal or not. All she's hearing is, oh my God, you're going to pay me to sing.
Yeah.
And you're going to pay me 10 times.
Yeah.
And she's not really hearing or understanding much more beyond that. So the lesson here is, I believe in generational wealth. I believe in family wealth. I think that if you don't have it, if you didn't come from it, it's your responsibility to create it going forward. That's the first thing. The second thing is education is not just formal. You can have informal education. Everything that I've done in the last 15 years has been in media and blogging and Facebook and social media. I don't have a degree in communications or media, but I have informal education because I took the time to learn the processes, to be mentored and to be coached and to learn from people who are in the industry so that I am educated.
Yeah, I love it. Aisha, what is your financial lesson that you learned from this situation?
Surround yourself with the right people, as much as you can, and especially the experts. If you feel it in your stomach that something doesn't sound right to you, if you're feeling something, just get the expert to help you go through it, so to simplify it for you to understand it. Because sometimes we make mistakes because we don't understand what we're signing or we're doing, and before we know it, we're selling our lives away to somebody else. So I think it's important to know that. So surround yourself with people that the expert that know what they're doing to kind of assist you make a decision that will benefit you and your family, not the other way around. Very important.
Yeah. There's a scenario where Cassie was saying that people would walk up to her saying like, man, I saw your video. I saw the video that you did in the last freak off. You was kind of crazy with it. I can't wait till we could do it. Right. In the middle of just like at a party. So she said one of the tactics that he used was saying like, if you leave me, I'm going to release this on the internet. I'm going to make sure that you are never able to be successful without me and that you walk away from me humiliating me because you left me humiliated, kind of thing. And so there's somebody in the comments saying like, again, it's always, I'm not saying that y'all ain't passing a vibe check in the comments. I'm saying that it's very important to understand like there's a part of you that just has to say like, if I was in this situation, would I have the strength to get up and just have all of my faculties at 19 years old and say, this isn't right. I'm leaving. You got me twisted. I'm not doing that. You're just not going to do it. Especially if what these queens have been saying, you don't have the savvy, not the financial savvy. You're coming from a broken home. Likely you don't have a father. You're not gonna leave. You're just not gonna leave. Right.
And he
I just
did that.
I don't believe it. I don't believe that you're strong. Let's go to this last video so you can kind of understand. And before we go to the video, I want you to understand that I've seen the longer version of this video. It's absolutely Cassie under this blanket, but I couldn't find the whole video. But this is absolutely her. But it's just like a peek into what I saw under the blanket was that she seemed like she was high or there was something wrong with her. But and then he was just taunting her. So let's go to that video.
What you gotta say now? You ain't got shit to say. When you put your girl on the snap, baby, yo, babe. I mean, shit getting weird. Come on, baby. It's hot outside. You fucking wrapped up in that blanket. Let's go jog on the beach.
Yeah, so I don't know if they have free. The people were saying that there was like pieces of whatever on the ground, but I'm not sure what was happening. I know they probably had a long night, a long kinky night of some sort. Some happened, but this young lady appeared high to me, and she was like kind of like taking herself from under the covers, talking like you couldn't really hear what she was saying. Then she was pulling it back over, like it was just a lot going on. And so to me, it made me think about again the video that we watched with her kind of like running for her life to the elevator again, trying to leave after a freak off and somebody running after her, him running after her, grabbing her, stomping her out, punching her, and then dragging her back to the room. So us talking about like why she didn't leave, I just don't believe that the people in the comments and some of us are that strong. Like, I mean, some of us are, for sure. Some of us wouldn't even have put ourselves in that situation, but it definitely had to come from a place of like, you know, somebody mentioned generational esteem. Some generational esteem, like your mother had put something in you that's like, I'm not even gonna be up in here. Like today, I probably would walk into a situation like, nah, this don't feel right. I actually have been in situations with, again, music executives, and I'd be like we meet a few times, and I'd be like, oh, this don't feel good. And ultimately, like, I made that decision because I have other options, but I'm thinking about if I didn't have options. I'm gonna go to the comments because I haven't talked to anybody, and then I'm gonna hit the stats, and then we're gonna get ready to get out of here with our final thoughts. But most people don't leave during the first time of abuse. It's very rare. You're absolutely right, DeMarcus. You know what? Can anybody agree with this? Like the first time you don't even know you're being abused. You know, those, for the most part, you're like, oh, he just got upset and, you know, lashed out, but I must have been the one doing something to, you know, for that activity to happen. She thought it was fun in the beginning until it left. If people don't take the time to learn the processes and they get taken advantage of, who is at fault? No, Malinga, who's at fault if they don't learn the processes? Is it their fault?
You mean the person who then ends up victimized?
Mm-hmm.
Well, in as much it is the person who's been victimized, but we can also understand why they don't. You know, it's understandable, but doesn't change the fact that you know, when a police officer stops you and he says you did X, Y, Z, and you say, "Well, I didn't know, officer," they always say, "Well, ignorance of the law is no excuse."
That's
you know,
right.
if it's jailable, you're going to jail.
That's right. That's right. You know what? Tyler put his financial lessons from this, and he says, my financial lesson from this is two things: to put a clause in those NDAs that if you pay someone $20 million not to testify and they end up testifying against you. Okay. Okay. All right. What are some other financial lessons that you all learned from this situation? I want to hear them. Let's go to those last stats, and then we're gonna round this thing out. This has been such a powerful conversation for me. I've learned a lot. I love having conversations with my queens, if you know it. That's why we create this show, so we can just get on and really just get some perspective. And I love a different perspective. So if you can bring those stats up for me, that'd be great. Okay, here we go. A report from the American Psychological Association found that women who stay in emotionally abusive relationships experience greater financial hardship than those who leave, often due to being isolated from financial resources and opportunities. Absolutely. Because her contract says she couldn't do nothing else, by the way. Research by the National Domestic Violence Hotline found that the lack of support systems is one of the top reasons women don't leave. Emotionally abusive relationships with financial dependence being another key barrier. All right. The National Institute of Mental Health reports that emotional manipulation, including gaslighting and control, can contribute to anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder, affecting women's mental health health long after the relationship ends. According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, 1 in 4 women experience emotional abuse, and 99% of financial abuse cases are linked to emotional and psychological manipulation, which often leads to long-term financial instability. I don't know about y'all, but I'm glad Cassie was able to, you know, get money and be compensated from this situation. I think that, you know, to have to endure like being peed on and making, you know, feeling like, I know I just keep thinking in normal situations, somebody, I'll be offended by something and be like, am I tripping? Like, should I say something? Like in a normal situation. But if somebody has like gaslit me and manipulated me and threatened to like blow up my boyfriend's car, or, you know, just all of these other things that was happening mentally, I just think it would make a huge difference. And so
for those of us that don't know, what was she compensated, or when was she compensated?
yeah, so she Cassie received I could tell you the date, but basically what happened was She went away for a little while and got her life together, went to therapy, was like, she took everything off of her. And there was an NDA, and there was a stature of limitations on her being able to come out and file. And I think she filed like the day before it was over, this civil lawsuit against Diddy for $30 million, y'all. Was it 30
Yeah,
million?
I think, yeah.
It was $30 million. He literally settled it within 24 hours. Because, you know, I think that, you know, he knew that he had given this woman all of the things, all of the, you know, there's a story of her saying, like, sending him a text message saying, like, I have sores in my mouth. I have sores in my mouth. I have UTIs and the antibiotics aren't working anymore.
Oh.
And he would respond just telling her, like, basically, like, bitch, I don't care. Like,
Thank God she didn't get more than that. Like, I'm just, oh God.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, this was horrific. I mean, the details, No Malenga, if I could go into them, are like, it made my stomach, and there's just, it's so disgusting what this young lady had to endure. So I don't think $30 million was enough. So if anybody
in this trial, she's not really pursuing damages or financial compensation. She really feels like, I'm going to take him down because he does not deserve to continue.
He's already down. You wanted to take her down. Now he's down.
Correct. Correct. So this isn't about money anymore. This is about her.
This is about slaying the monster.
Yeah. This is about slaying the dragon. And I think, you know, something else to consider, y'all, and we're going to do our final thoughts, is that we have to be in these situations, leaving, just getting up and leaving. You said it, No Malenga, earlier. She can't just be like, I'm leaving, and then walk out the door. That is the time when you are most vulnerable to being unalived. For sure. You got to be strategic. Yes, and he had people watching her and stalking her. I mean, literally, y'all. Like, if you haven't read the court documents, I went back and read them. I read them when they first came out, and it was like a novel, right? They had pictures and people, and it was just a lot. And so,
but I keep going back, Tia, to how insecure of a man do you have to be? I mean, to like literally grip a woman, have people stalk her, watch her, contractually bind her. There's something like deeply, deeply wrong with him, where he knows somewhere inside of him that no one will ever love me. So I gotta do horrible things to keep people in my life. And if I don't, they would not be here. If I didn't have all this money and fame and what have you, nobody would like me, nobody would love me, because I'm just an awful person.
Yeah. With that being said, y'all, let's go ahead and hit I feel like we could talk about this all day, because like I said, if y'all go back and watch those documents, or listen to the documents, if you go back and read the documents, it really is something it really will stop your heart. It's heartbreaking. So I'm gonna start with you. Final thoughts, No Malenga. What do you think? What do you think? What are your final thoughts on this?
This is a rather unconventional final thought. You know, when we were talking and you kept saying, well, you know, I really wish we had not lost some of the roots of culture and what have you as Black people living in America. And I want to say that, do you know that a lot of people that I know in America, Black people who are African American, are now actually practicing more African culture and traditional things, because again, it goes back to that thing where you educate yourself and you see that, okay, this is kind of what we're doing, and this is the results, or rather these are the results that it's producing. Let me find out, you know, what people were doing generations ago. Let me find out what other cultures are doing that is successful, and maybe go in that direction. And you are fine. I have seen, and I know personally, a lot of African American women that are successfully married to Black men, whether they're in America or the Caribbean, African or British, Black or whatever it is. But they've kind of used these principles to say, okay, look, I may not have a father maybe, but I do have this uncle who has been a strong father figure in my life. And if you want to be a part of my life, he needs to meet you. He needs to see what you're about. He needs to ask a few questions. And there's that protective layer. And again, when there are problems where people are understanding that there are family members who are in successful marriages, who can act as counselors, advisors, coaches, mentors, and so forth. And these are things that work. And it's not to say that, you know, African culture is perfect and American culture is not. That's not it. I'm just about us doing what works and what is going to make us thrive and what is going to make us successful. And that's even on an individual level. When things are not working, you do have to stop and think, okay, what I'm doing is not working. Let me look at it. Let me see what other people are doing and make some changes. So that's what I'll leave you with. That, you know what, look to other people who have successful families, who have generational wealth, who have successful marriages and so forth, and learn from them and apply the principles that they've applied, and you will see a change in your life and in your success. Where you can find me, I'm Nomalangam Charlie Moses on Facebook. I do have my own YouTube channel. It's also Nomalangam Charlie Moses. And on Instagram, you can find me at Noma Moses. I do also have a charity that I started here in Botswana. It is called Pads for Our Girls. It's at padsforourgirls.com if you would like to donate. What we do is we take care of young girls in schools who actually miss school because they're on their periods and they don't have the supplies that they need. So what we do is, at no cost to them, we supply them with sanitary pads. If you'd like to help us do that, again, it's padsforourgirls.com, and you can donate. Even the smallest amounts help.
I love it. And you know what's so funny, and we're gonna go, but like you said, to study success, and I think a lot of people are grappling because they studied Diddy, because to him, to them, he was a marker of success, and I'm talking about ultimate success. I mean, I looked up to Diddy for years, without knowing all of these things, of course, but like that's why it's so hard, and people are grappling with like victim shaming and saying like he ain't do it. So, you know, just also just, you know, I know we can't know for sure who people are, but just like, you know, just study the moves and not the person. I don't know. I don't know if we can separate the two.
There
So
are
like,
principles, I believe. I do believe there are principles that he abided by that led to his success in the industry and in business and in music. And those principles still stand. Even the devil applies principles to manipulate us and trick us and do evil things.
That's true.
So principles are principles.
All right. All right, Shalay, what do you say, ma'am?
So my final thought is, what are we teaching our daughters? A question has come up in my mind about maybe Cassie's mom's relationship with men, her past relationship with men, and what Cassie witnessed about those relationships with men. But I think that it's all going to stem back to us teaching our daughters about control and access and autonomy within themselves, controlling their situation. Now, I know that there's this whole debate about independent women and things like that, but I believe that it is wonderful to be financially independent as a woman. So like Nomalanga said, if you need to leave a situation, you're not in dire straits and you can get out of there. So controlling your own brand, controlling like your own brand, your own personal brand, controlling yourself and how you are portrayed, controlling your own finances and access to those finances and the autonomy and having financial security. I think that we should be teaching our daughters that, and also having more conversations like this about what is absolutely wrong and what you should absolutely not have to struggle with, even in private. I'm Shalay Camillo with Vital Source Realty in Boston, Massachusetts, and I can help you buy or sell real estate anywhere in the United States. You can hit me up at vitalsourcerealty.com or follow me on Instagram at Shalay Camillo.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So funny. You said teach our girls, but also like if you are struggling, also talk yourself through it. Love on yourself. You ain't dead yet. We need to, you know, it can't just be. It got to be all of us, right? Heal yourself, and then heal the babies. All right.
Yes.
Aisha, what do you say?
Yes, well, it was a heavy topic for sure. And the first thing that came to my mind to wrap up is we have to have parental involvement, right? For someone like me, you know, I came to this country, I don't have family with me. The next best thing for me was my church. So elders in the church that can be parental guidance for you, right? And then let's teach our children boundaries, emotional and financial boundaries with other people, and just to be self-aware of who they are and when something doesn't sound right or feel right to them, right? They need to understand that. And then finally, for me, I think to have an emergency code word that they can share with someone that they trust and respect. So when that word is shared, they know that they're in a dangerous situation, and please come take me away from here, without judgment, without any kind of ramification, because sometimes girls when they get into the kind of situations, they don't call anyone because they say they're going to be judged. So give them a code word. Just call me and I'll pick you up. That way there's no danger to you, and you can live there quietly until you decide what you want to do. So let's teach them that, to have that kind of boundary around themselves, self-awareness, and of course that guidance that they need. My name is Aisha Verzi. You can find me at Black Business School as a coach, and also at www.aishaverzi.com.
What a powerful conversation today, y'all. Like I said, I feel like in some ways I'm just so lost for words by what I but also have lots of words, right? Like I know I'm not like completely mute, but I definitely, there's just certain times when I'm just like, I just can't believe all of this has transpired and somebody had to kind of withstand and go through this type of thing. So I do want to put the National Domestic Violence Hotline number at the bottom of the screen. If you or someone you know is experiencing any type of domestic violence, please, please, please call and let them know let them know. Let someone know. Call a friend. Like Aisha said, I love what you said about code words. It made me also think about myself. If you're, in a situation, any type of emergency situation, and you need a code word, it's like, girl, I'm on fire, something where somebody can come and save you and help you. So I love that. I love the idea of that. So listen, y'all, we're going to get out of here. Oh, I just want to say this. This is my final thought. I am hosting our Fly Nubian Money training, Fly Nubian Money Club training this weekend. I am teaching the art of story selling. We are also going to talk about the power of 5 1s with you, making sure that our members, if you are not a member, go to flynubianmoneyclub.com now and join us. But I want to teach you the power of the 5 1s. That means that we're going to get really laser focused about your next product. And I'm going to show you how to create one product, use it on one platform with one target audience, and we're going to work this power on one social media platform and with one, just one target. So I want to make sure you come through, and I have some powerful information for you about how to take that product then and wrap your story around it and sell it. So if you are interested, go to flynubianmoneyclub.com, sign up for the 30-day free trial. If you are a member, I will see you this weekend. Again, flynubianmoneyclub.com. All right. Thank you so much, y'all, for joining us today. Cassie's story has shed light on the complex dynamics of emotional manipulation and power struggles in relationships, especially for Black women. Now, she is not a Black woman completely, but she is a woman of color. It's crucial that we recognize the signs of emotional abuse and stop enabling toxic behaviors. By supporting healthy boundaries and financial independence, we can help women break free from these relationships and reclaim their emotional and financial power. Let's keep the conversation going, because real freedom comes from being emotionally strong and financially secure. Until the next time, y'all, stay empowered, protect your peace, and keep building your legacy. We will see you tomorrow.